Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Jay Connor. I'm the Walton County Family and Consumer Sciences Agent. Today we're here with Jason Wright of Wright Insurance. We're hoping to do a little bit of education to inform some folks about insurance. Jason, you want to tell the folks a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. I've been in the insurance business for about 23 years now. I've been an insurance agent, owned my agency for that whole time. I've worked in a couple of different formats in insurance and have worked across a pretty wide range of different types of insurance products, from home and auto insurance to business insurance, life insurance, long-term care insurance, and all those kinds of things.
Awesome. So you're exactly the kind of person we want to talk to today. First, we want to tell the folks what are some common terms people are going to need to know before we get to talking about specific types of insurance.
Yeah, so some of the main terms that people will hear that they may not be familiar with, of course, one is policy. And I think the main thing to remember about when people talk about an insurance policy is it's just an insurance contract. Ultimately, that's what it is. They just call it a policy. Within that, you have a number of other terms. A deductible is one that people will hear oftentimes. That's the part of the loss that a person is going to pay for themselves before the insurance company will pay any of that loss. There are coverages and limits. Those can be both numbers and types of losses that are covered. So a typical coverage limit may be that the policy will protect an insured, a policyholder, up to a $300,000 liability. And that's what a coverage is, or a limit is. And then the last ones that I want to mention are losses or perils. In the insurance contract, it has a list of perils that it's insuring against. So it can be like in a home insurance policy, it can be things you might expect: fire, lightning, windstorm, hail, theft, vandalism, all those kinds of things. They're simply called perils. But people think of them, what does my policy cover? And that's what they're referring to.
Excellent. Before we start, first thing we wanted to start with was talking about home insurance. If you were talking to a first-time home buyer, what would they need to know about home insurance?
Yeah, so a home insurance policy is a policy that is put in place to protect what they own in their investment. So you have a structure that's being insured. A home insurance policy also does other things. It provides coverage for personal belongings inside the house. So a lot of people will use the example, if you were to pick up the house and shake it, everything that falls out is probably personal property, and that's a separate coverage within the policy. Another main coverage in a policy is liability coverage. Think of it as almost like slip and fall protection. If a guest comes onto your property and they trip over an extension cord and fall and hurt themselves, you may be legally liable for their injury, and the policy will protect you from that liability. And it has other coverages and what have you that are in it also that can be very valuable. Loss of use is one of those coverages. It will pay for somebody to live somewhere else if they can't live in their home while a coverage repair is being made, and some things like that. So that's the general structure of a home insurance policy.
So how is a home insurance policy going to be different than a renter's insurance policy that some folks may be more familiar with?
Yes, that's a great question. A renter's insurance policy is really only focused on two main coverages. One is personal property coverage. So all of your furniture, furnishings, clothing, pots and pans, all those things that you would take from your apartment or the home that you're renting to somewhere else is personal property. And then also renter's insurance will have liability coverage. Again, if someone comes onto the property and they are injured because of something that you do, then you may be liable for their injury, and renter's insurance will protect you from having to pay that claim. A renter's insurance policy can also pay for someone to live somewhere else if where they're living is damaged. So we often hear on the news about an apartment fire, and we always hear the American Red Cross is out here to assist people who are displaced. If you have renter's insurance and you have proper coverages, it will pay for you to live somewhere else. You can just go to a hotel that night, get settled, and worry about things the next day, and that insurance policy will probably reimburse you for that. Now, deductibles come into play and all that. Contrast that with a home insurance policy. A home insurance policy has those coverages in it also that a renter's insurance policy does, but it also has coverage for the structure. It's called the dwelling. Think of it as the box that you live in, all the floors, the walls, the ceiling, the roof, all those things. And it provides coverage to repair or rebuild those items if they're damaged in a covered loss. And then a home insurance policy can also have coverage for what are called different things, other structures, appurtenant structures, but they're structures that are not the dwelling, that are on the property. It can be a detached garage, a shed. She sheds became popular a few years ago, and people put a lot of money into these things. Detached fences or fences around property. Those can all be detached structures that would also have coverage in the home insurance policy that are not going to be in a renter's insurance policy.
Something that especially our first-time home buyers are going to be hearing a lot about is a term called mortgage insurance or private mortgage insurance. What is that, and how is it different from their home insurance policy?
Private mortgage insurance is a coverage, a policy that a borrower is required to buy to protect the lender. And that's where a lot of people get confused. They see on their mortgage escrow statement, or they see on their HUD-1, there's this line item that says PMI, or private mortgage insurance, and they think, oh, I don't need home insurance now because I'm having to pay for this. Well, that's not true. PMI is there to protect the lender if the borrower defaults on the loan. That's all that it does, but the cost of that is put back onto the borrower. Home insurance is different. A lender is going to require what's called hazard insurance, and home insurance is technically different, but it satisfies the requirements of hazard insurance. At its core, hazard insurance is about protecting the investment that the mortgage company is making. All they care about is that structure or any other collateral attached to the structure. And that's all that hazard insurance is going to take care of for them, and it's not going to take care of it for the buyer. The borrower is going to only take care of the mortgage company. Home insurance satisfies that requirement of hazard insurance, but it's there to protect the borrower and the homeowner. And it has all those other coverages in it so that it's not only protecting the investment that the mortgage company is making in that property, it's protecting your investment as an owner as you continue to build equity in that home.
All right, so in regards to home insurance, what are some examples of some losses that are going to be covered, and what are some examples of losses that aren't going to be covered?
It's a good question. So the things that you probably would expect are covered are going to be covered in most home insurance policies. Things like fire, lightning, windstorm, hail, theft, vandalism. There could be some other things in there. Accidental discharge of water is one that's often covered. That's different than a water backup and overflow. That sometimes is not going to be covered, or you have to have an endorsement to get that kind of coverage. And it can even get into why the backup happened, if there's coverage or not. So the language within the policy becomes very, very important. And as another thing is that not on a declarations page, you can see all the things that are listed for the coverage limits, like the dwelling, and those numbers between two different companies can match, the liability limits can match, but it's the language within the policy that really matters. And it's really tough for a consumer because a consumer is not going to read through all that to understand it. That's the advantage of, again, a professional insurance agent to guide them through that. But other things that are not going to be covered, flood is never covered on a home insurance policy. And what that means is when it's raining and water hits the ground and then somehow it comes inside of a house, that's a flood. The pipe bursting upstairs and then draining downstairs, that's an accidental discharge of water, which is covered by a home insurance policy usually. But a flood is not covered. Earthquake is not going to be covered. Intentional damage is not going to be covered. That goes into fraud and some things like that. So those are some of the things that are typically covered and some of the things that are usually not going to be covered.
Wonderful. You got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. All right, so we're going to keep moving forward and start talking about car insurance. What would folks need to know about their car insurance policy?
There are three main parts of an auto insurance policy. So the first part is liability coverage. It's the part of the policy that pays someone else if you're liable for their injury or the damage to their vehicle or their property. So you're driving down the road, you can't stop in the rain quickly enough, you hit the car from behind, you're liable for that. So the liability part of the policy is going to protect you from having to pay them out of your own pocket. The insurance company will protect you from that, will pay that claim to them. The second part of the policy is called uninsured motorist coverage, or sometimes it's called underinsured motorist coverage, depends on the location, primarily the state. But uninsured motorist coverage is the part of the policy that will take care of you if someone else hits you and they're liable for the accident and they don't have insurance or don't have enough insurance. So for instance, if I'm driving home today and somebody runs the red light and hits me and they don't have any insurance at all, I've got coverage on my own policy that's going to take care of my injuries, and it's going to take care of fixing my car or paying me for the value of my car if it's a total loss. It's not about keeping the other person from being responsible. It's about taking care of me, and that's what's important if I'm hurt in an accident. The third main part of the policy is called physical damage coverage, and it's broken up into mainly two parts: collision coverage and comprehensive coverage. A lot of folks will use the phrase full coverage when they want coverage like this also. In addition to liability and uninsured motorists, they'll also want coverage to fix their car. I don't use the phrase full coverage because in my career of 23 years, I've never had a single client take all of the optional coverages that are available. So is it really full coverage? So I just refuse to use that phrasing. But most people mean that they want coverage that will fix their car also, which is collision and comprehensive coverages. Collision coverage is just what it says. If you're going down the road and you impact something or something impacts you, technically that's a collision, regardless of who's at fault. Technically it's a collision. And the collision part of the policy will pay to fix your car or pay for up to the value of your car if it's a total loss. There's a deductible that people can choose. Most common, we used to see most common was probably $500. Now we're seeing a lot of $1,000 deductibles. And we actually see deductibles higher than that if the car's value justifies it. Then there's comprehensive coverage, which is the other part of physical damage coverage. And that's coverage for things like theft, vandalism, storm damage. If you're parked in the driveway during a storm and a big branch falls off the tree and lands on top of the car, that's a comprehensive loss from storm damage. It also has a deductible. I usually suggest that people look at lower deductibles on that because the cost savings to go to a higher deductible is usually not warranted. So I want to find value in the policy for people, and that's how one way they can find that value. So those are the three main parts of an auto insurance policy.
You know, I'm really proud of my new car. I worked so hard to buy it a few years ago. But what do I need to know about how can I make changes to my policy as a vehicle ages?
That's a great question. So one of the things that I see way too often is that people will be paying for collision and comprehensive coverages that they may not benefit from. So keep in mind, the liability coverage you have to carry regardless of the vehicle, regardless of how old it is or how new it is. That's required by Georgia law just to get on the road and drive. But collision and comprehensive coverages are optional. Now, if you have a loan, then you've got to carry those coverages. The loan contract that you have is requiring you to carry that coverage until you satisfy the loan. But once the car is paid off, you can choose whether you want to continue that coverage or not. The way that I suggest that people look at it is, what's the value of the car? So,
all right, what other variables change the cost of my car insurance policy?
Yeah, so obviously the vehicle that you have is a big factor. It used to be that newer cars were going to be more expensive to insure than older cars. That's not always the case anymore. And as a car ages, the cost may not be going down, and a big part of that is probably because of inflationary impact. But the other variables other than the car that's going to impact your insurance cost is your age. Gender in younger ages has an impact. A 16-year-old male is more expensive to insure than a 16-year-old female. And so the insurance company is going to charge a little bit more for that younger male driver than they would the younger female driver. So age can have some impact on it. Driving history is probably the next biggest impact. Moving violations, whether it's speeding or running a stoplight or something like that, those all have an impact on it. And then the claims history. So it used to be that people, and still a lot of times will say, okay, I have damage to my car, I'm going to file a claim. That may not be the right choice up front. I really do suggest that people at least find out what it's going to cost. Now, if someone hits somebody else or they damage somebody else's property, they just need to file the claim. They run the risk of giving up coverages if they don't notify the insurance company of that loss. But if you back into your mailbox and nobody else is impacted in that situation, I don't know that I would file a claim to fix my car before at least going to find out what it's going to cost to fix it, because you may find out that the cost to fix it is below your deductible anyway, and so you may just need to pay out of pocket to fix it. Your coverage limits and deductibles will impact your cost. If you have less coverage, it's going to cost less. The downside of having less coverage is you may not be protected in a bad situation. Somebody can still sue you, and even though you may not have a lot of assets now, as I understand it in Georgia, they can actually attach your future income to settle that suit if you don't carry enough coverage. And then deductibles can also be a way to control costs. It's how much will you pay out of pocket to fix your car before the insurance company pays to fix it for you.
Excellent. We're going to finally move on to life insurance. What are the basics that people need to know about life insurance?
So there are generally speaking, two types of life insurance. Permanent life insurance, which is designed to be there for the rest of life, no matter how long that is. So if somebody wants to have life insurance coverage, if they lived to 92 or 101, into their 80s even, then permanent life insurance is the way that you take care of that need. On the other hand, you have what's called term insurance, and it's more of a temporary insurance. It's for a specific term period of time. So that can be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Usually they don't go past 30 years, but you can get coverage for that specific period of time. And so that type of insurance, term insurance, is used when the coverage need is going to go away at some point. So use your home buyer example. A lot of times people will call me because they're buying a home and they know that they want some way to pay the home mortgage off if something happens to them so that the family doesn't have to leave the home. And so you can do that through a 30-year term life insurance policy. It fixed the cost for that 30-year period. It's a fixed benefit also, but we know that coverage that need is going to go away at some point down the road. Other common examples are education expenses. If we know we want to make sure that that their children can go through college, well, if the youngest child is newborn, well, then you don't need coverage past about 22, 23 years because they're going to be through college at that point. And so you can get a term insurance policy for that, which is more cost effective than a permanent insurance policy.
All right, now why is life insurance important? And, to be a bit frank, we're all going to die, so why do insurance companies sell it to us?
Yeah, so life insurance is important because people are often relying on the incomes that we have. So for instance, in my household, I'm married, I have 4 children. They rely on my income as a part of their sustenance. And so if I'm not in the picture any longer, I have life insurance in place that will take care of them so that they don't have, hopefully, a significant lifestyle change. A family member passing away is devastating. Emotionally, mentally, it's draining, it's exhausting. It's a very hard thing to go through grief. And what life insurance does is it at least takes away the burden of the financial impact of that family member not making it home one day. So that's why life insurance is important. Sometimes in some situations, people are required to get life insurance. For instance, we do a lot of business insurance, and people have SBA loans, and a lot of times the SBA will require them to have a life insurance policy to back up that loan they're giving them, and so that's another example. Why do life insurance companies sell life insurance when we're all going to die? Well, insurance is all about the chance of a risk happening during a specific period of time. So for instance, with life insurance, the insurance company is looking at the odds of me, a male at my age, my health condition and all that. What are the odds of me dying in a specific period of time? Well, in 10 years, that's very little. At my age, in 20 years, it's higher, and at 30 years, it's a good bit higher. But the insurance company knows the statistics of that. And from that, they can then say, we're going to charge a rate so that 1,000 people like me are going to pay into that rate, so that those of us who do die during that time period, the benefit will be paid out, and the insurance company is able to keep a little bit of that money. I mean, that's ultimately how it works and why they do it. Again, it comes down to the benefit of why do I spend the money on that life insurance, and it's so that my family or those that rely on me can be taken care of if I'm not in the picture anymore. So it's a give and take. Insurance, all insurance, is about spending nickels for dollars. That's really what it boils down to. I'm going to give the insurance company nickels or maybe dollars. Maybe I'm going to give them $1 bills, but they're going to put back $10 and $20 and $50 bills, depending on what the insurance coverage is and all that kind of thing, to take care of that circumstance for me.
All right. Finally, what are some common mistakes that you see people make when shopping for insurance, and what should they be talking to their insurance agent about?
Yeah, so probably the biggest issue that I see, and it's on both sides of the table, not just with consumers, but also with insurance people, is that they start and stop with price. And that's not always the right answer. Sometimes it is. A lot of times it's important. I mean, it's a part of the overall equation about what's the price, but that is often thought of best in terms of value. I can go to store A, and I can buy their on sale off-brand version of green beans in a can. Or I can go to the farmer's market and I can get fresh green beans. I'm gonna pay more per pound for those green beans than I do for the canned green beans. But the value to me is that those fresh green beans are a whole lot better tasting, more nutritious, all those kinds of things. So it comes down to value, not just cost. So that's one of the issues that we often see. And unfortunately, too many people on my side of the table are only showing based on cost, and they're not taking the time to actually educate people so that they can make the decision about what's best for them and their family. The other thing that I would suggest to people is that they kind of have an interview as they're shopping for insurance. First of all, if someone's calling an 800 number to get quotes, you're never going to talk to the same person twice. That person is only going to do what you ask them to do or tell them to do. They're not going to make sure that what they're doing for you is actually what's best for you. So sometimes that has to happen, and that's fine. But when you start getting local with an insurance professional, take the time to almost interview them. Find out about their experience. Find out what they enjoy doing. Find out how they interact with people based on how they're interacting with you. I promise you, if you feel like you're just a number and you're just another piece of work that they're moving across their desk, when it comes down to crunch time, you're probably not going to feel any differently. I've gotten that call at 4:30 in the morning from a client that their house is burning to the ground. And I could tell them with complete confidence, you don't need to worry. Because I knew that I had done everything correctly based on what they wanted to happen and based on what was best for them. And I could go about my day without having to be concerned that something was going to jump up and bite them. But that's the important part of it, is making sure that the person that you're talking with really cares about you, really wants to understand what's best for you, and then show you how that can be achieved. Now, that may not be affordable, and that's fine, but at least then you have a starting point to say, okay, I need to cut costs, so how can I cut my costs some? And then they can advise you about ways to do that so that ultimately you're making the decision about what you want, how much you're willing to spend, and then what risk you're willing to take on yourself. The other aspect of insurance professionals is that you have kind of generally two types of insurance people. You have what are called captive insurance agents that only represent, or primarily only represent, one company. They're only going to offer that as the solution for someone. They're only going to offer their options and that policy to someone. And they are legally an agent of that company. They are representing that insurance company legally. On the other end of the scale, you have what are called independent agents. And those agents will represent multiple companies. They may be acting as an agent for an insurance company, but they're also acting almost like a broker, and sometimes legally as a broker for the consumer. And so in that case, they're representing the consumer to the insurance company and then providing to the consumer what the insurance company is willing to offer. And so it can be some different ways of interacting there. The biggest advantage, I think, of an independent agent is that they often represent multiple companies. So in our office, we work with about a dozen home and auto insurance companies, and so we're able to check the market over a wider area of the market. Now, we may just come to a person with one option to propose to them, but we've oftentimes checked all those different companies to see what the best option is. So it kind of gives the consumer an opportunity to shop a bigger part of the market with just one agency or one person.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Jason. As always, this is for educational purposes only, and we would encourage folks to make smart decisions and converse with their insurance agents with what's going to be best for their family. So, Jason, thank you so much for your time.
Gladly.
Good morning and Happy New Year. It is 2026. We're ready to move on to a new year. 2025 is behind us, and I hope everything that was bad is gone and everything that is new is going to be good for everyone. Just to recap on a few things for the partnership, we had a great 2025. We had lots of exciting things going on in 2025. For our youth development part of the partnership, we had a lot of great things that our students took place in at our schools. We go into our schools, we provide lots of youth development services. Our Youth Advocacy Board students hosted a lot of programs. For example, Red Ribbon Week, they did a lot of programs in the schools and promoting positive youth development. And one thing that I would like to highlight that we continue in 2026, and that if you're interested in donating, we would love to have you reach out to us, or I will share a flyer after this filming, is we have an alley garden. And this is in memory of a cherished gardener. And this is, if you all know, Mitch Alligood. It's his mom who has passed away, and it's Kiki's Alley Garden. This garden honors the legacy of Jane Alligood, a beloved mother, neighbor, and friend whose love for community and nature continues to bloom. Jane was mother of Mitch Alligood, which is now a retired teacher from Walnut Grove High School, and a dedicated Walton County educator who served the district for over 30 years and continues to mentor youth in Walton County. Mitch is one of our board members for the Walton Youth Project, and we appreciate his time with the youth and the time that he continues to put back into Walton County. So we've set up this scholarship fund in memory of his sweet, beloved mother. And this fund provides college and career support to students and alumni of the Walton Youth Advocacy Board. These youth-led programs focus on service, leadership, mental wellness, civic engagement, and scholarships are awarded to youth who reflect Jade's legacy of quiet strength, compassion, and community impact. So I will leave information with you about how you can donate if you're interested in donating, but we would love to have you donate and give back to our former students and our students that are continue to be educated in our Walton County school system. So thank you for that, and we really appreciate everything that everybody has donated so far. So moving on to the partnership, we've had a lot of great things, a lot of events going on. We've had lots of trainings this past year, and we would like to continue trainings. We have our collaborative meetings that meet monthly, and we do that all over the county. We call ourselves a traveling collaborative, and we do that because we meet in all the different places in Walton County: Monroe, Social Circle, and Loganville. So our next meeting coming up is January the 20th, and that will be at the Board of Ed Annex Building here where our offices are located, and that's going to be in the small training room. And if you're interested in anything to do with families and children in Walton County, if you have events, if you're interested in a training that you need, reach out to me and let me know. We can set something up. That's what we are about. We like to bring resources to our community and bridge gaps in services. So if you're interested in attending the collaborative meetings, they're open to the community. Anyone can attend those meetings. We provide a light breakfast. We meet for an hour and we share about our resources. So if you have events coming up, please feel free to reach out to me prior to the meeting and see if it's a great fit for our collaborative. If not, just show up. Our meetings are from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. We try to limit it to an hour. We also offer those via Zoom, and I send those out by email a week prior to the meeting. So if you're interested in any of that, we invite you to attend, or you want to just reach out to me personally. My number is 770-207-3175. And as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Happy New Year from Walton County Parks and Recreation. This is Jody Johnson. I'm here with another recreation report, and hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. The weather was absolutely perfect this time during Christmas. You never know here in Georgia, but we had a fantastic holiday weather this past year. So I hope everybody got outside and enjoyed the unusual warm temperatures. Maybe you came out to one of our parks nearby. I know a lot of people have been coming out to the Walnut Grove Park, which is now officially open. All of the first phase is now complete. We had our ribbon cutting the 22nd on a Monday night, and we kind of threw it together kind of quick. We advertised the best we could, and we had over 500 people show up out here, where we had the Grove Craze Band came out and played, and we had a sleigh hay ride going on. We gave out hot chocolate. We had a few crafts going on. You were able to tour the facilities. If you missed that, please come by and check it out. We have the pickleball courts are now open out here. There's 6 pickleball courts out here at the Grove. There's the community center, which has all brand new workout equipment that the Healthcare Foundation provided for us. And we have a huge playground out here. Of course, we have the ball fields that'll kick off in the early springtime, where we'll play that. So all of our offices have moved out here. So if you're looking for our administrative offices, all of that staff is out here at the Grove, at that community center, in the office wing of the community center. So with that being said, we have our spring sports seasons that are now registering. So I'll put a flyer up here at the end that lets you know what all's going on, which is our baseball and softball, soccer, and track. It'll all be participating in the spring. So now's the time to register for that. We'll register now through January 16th. And then once that date's passed, then we usually take a couple of days off to to make sure we get our numbers correctly. So each team is laid out. We look for our volunteer coaches, make sure we have all of our volunteers in place. So make sure you hit those registration dates. And some of the control dates have been changed a little bit by our national organization. So take a look at that as well. It may have changed where your child is participating this year. We have a lot going on here at the Recreation Department. As far as new construction goes, we've got some plans to build additional pickleball courts, believe it or not. I know we seem to have a lot of pickleball courts, but I assure you, if you go out and you're a pickleball person, you understand that in the morning times, every one of them are full, and in the evening times, when the weather is correct, is conducive for playing pickleball outside, they're full. So we try to put them where it's a little closer to where you live. So the next place to place a few pickleball courts is up in the Loganville area beside the Meridian Community Center. So that work should be starting fairly soon. So we can get those up and going by the at least probably mid-spring, early summer time. We'll have those pickleball courts up there done. Our basketball program is continuing now, and we'll go until pretty much the end of February or mid-February, and then we will start all the baseball and spring activities that we have going on. Hopefully you've got that New Year's resolution that you want to not only lose weight but get in shape. We all know we need to do it, and the Parks and Recreation Department has that at a very affordable rate. Of course, a lot of things are free. If you're 60 and over, you're welcome to come and get a one-time purchase of a card, and you could use the facilities at no cost. There's a senior aerobics program that we do 6 times a week during the Monday through Friday periods. I'm sure that you can find a time that fits for you, and that's a great place to start, where you can go and listen to music and do the exercises at your own pace. We hope that you'll come to the one of our 4 facilities that we have now with all of the knowledge equipment that you would need to get in shape. There's plenty of outdoor walking trails as well. If you'd like to get out and hit the trails, the county has several miles of trails throughout the county system. So it's and then also, again, the 40 or so pickleball courts that we have that you can come as an individual player, and I'm sure somebody will let you pick up and play while you're out there. Pickleball is one of those sports that it's a very friendly game. Everyone goes out. They usually come as groups, but they certainly are not against adding a player and teaching them the rules, so the new players need to know how the scoring system works and the ins and outs of play, and people are very friendly about letting you do that. So come by yourself, come as a group, come as a family, however you'd like to do it, and usually you can get onto a court. Even if the courts seem full, just put your paddle up, and they know how to rotate around to get everybody some playing time and play a game, sit a game type mentality. So hope to see you here at the Recreation Department soon on these 2 or 3 good outdoor days that we have during the month of January. And then we hope we'll see you inside the recreation facilities on those days that it's just too wet and cold and outside. So we have a lot going on here at the Recreation Department, and a lot for all of our citizens of Walton County. So until next time, thank you very much.
Hi everybody, how are you doing? My name is Jake Connor. I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent here in Walton County. January is National Radon Action Month, so I wanted to give everybody a heads up. Radon is a really important issue here in Walton County. In the entire country, radon is the 2nd leading cause of lung cancer after use of tobacco products. Nationally, about 1 in 15 homes have a high level of radon, but here in Walton County, about 1 in 3 homes have a high level of radon. So if you want to do more to protect your family, protect your investment in your home, please reach out to us here at the Extension Office. We're also going to be hosting a couple classes over at the Monroe Walton Library. On January the 29th, we'll have 2 sections, one at 11 a.m. and the second one at 5:30 p.m. So please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have you come to those classes and find out more about how you can test to protect your family and protect your investment. Thanks and have a great day.
I call them the peace out generation. which, by the way, my college freshmen told me, they're like, Dr. Furman, that's like so not cool anymore. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like drop the mic? Like what? And they're like, just don't do anything. Like just say peace out. I like doing that. They're the peace out generation, because if they're not happy, they're out. If they're not happy at work, they're quitting, and they don't even give you 2 weeks notice. If they don't like you, they're breaking up with you, and they don't even tell you. Because what's that called, y'all? Ghosting. They're going to totally ghost you. Gen X isn't happy. They go home, they bitch about it. They write like 6 resignation letters to themselves. They get up the next morning, put their pants back on, and like they go to work, right? Not them. They're not happy. They're out. And that is why a lot of them are resigning during this great resignation, because if they don't feel like you care about them, they're out. And this is where the big disconnect is. The way that they want to be cared about is different than how you think they want to be cared about. Okay? So let's take a look at them here real quick. Let's talk about what they lived through growing up so you understand their lens. My yellows, how old were you when 9/11 happened? Whoever said 18, you're probably more of a cusper, and you're demonstrating more Gen X tendencies. The rest of you who are like 15 and younger, so I heard 7, 8, 11, okay? How old were you when Columbine happened? That was 98. 8, 6, okay? I have my cusper over here. What were you told was going to happen on December 31st, 1999? Okay, so I want you all to think about this. This generation, as young children, had a terrorist attack on U.S. soil that we were told was never going to happen again since Pearl Harbor. They suddenly had these mass school shootings. You were told that the end of the world was going to happen on New Year's Eve. You had Al Gore telling you that the hole in the ozone layer was so big that you were going to have to wear sunblock and sunglasses every single time you went outside. You saw your parents who were solely committed and loyal to that one organization. They let them go. They lost their job, they lost their pension, and they're having to work longer. I want you all to think about this. And so their boomer parents became helicopter parents, and they hovered because life was scary. Can you blame them? Look what they lived through as children. They were old enough to know that scary things were going on, but they weren't emotionally mature enough to process it. And because of that, they are not aspiring for career success. They're not aspiring for job security. Oh, heck no. They aspire for freedom and flexibility because they're living for today because they don't know where tomorrow is going to look like. And that's where you have the big clash between Gen X and millennials, okay? So their communication preference is text or social media. I thought they were going to grow more thumbs because they text away. And their decision-making authority is they want decision-making input. That was important to them. So all of us are in these meetings, and they're standing outside the door going, ooh, can I get in that meeting? And we're all like, really? And they're like, well, yeah, because I can make better decisions than all of you in that room. And it's because growing up, they were given decision-making authority. K through 12 gave them options. Do you want this or you want this? I even think about vacations, okay? My mom said to me, get your ass in the back of the station wagon. Do y'all remember station wagons, riding backwards? I was like car sick all the time. And we get in the car, and she says, we're going on vacation. So I'm like, okay, Ma, where are we going on vacation? And she's like, we'll figure it out when you get there. And we go like 2 towns over, and I'm like, Ma, I thought we were on vacation. And she says, we're not home, are we? If we're not home, we're on vacation. Fast forward, boomers texting their kids, family meeting, 6 o'clock dining room. So you all get together. Yeah, how many of you have family meetings? Yeah, you know you have them. And they're like, honey, where would you like to go on vacation this year? Should we go to the beach? Should we go to Disney World? Or I even think about breakfast, y'all. So my mom said to me on her way out to work, there's cereal in the cupboard, help yourself, where the millennials are coming into the kitchen and mom and dad are like, honey, what would you like for breakfast? And y'all, I saw it. I saw it with my sister, who's a millennial. They're like, would you like cereal or toast or pancakes? And I'm like, pancakes? I had pancakes on Christmas morning, if I was lucky, right? So they had choices. So now they're showing up to your workplaces wanting choices, and you want to know what Gen X is doing to them? Y'all ready? Y'all familiar with the Heisman? They're like, eh. And they're like, oh, but I have this really good idea. Eh. Well, why can't we do this? Eh. And they're like, eh. How many letters do you have after your name? Eh. How long have you been with this organization? And what's your student loan debt ratio that I'm still paying off, right? And when Gen X does this, they do this. And that's why when organizations hire me and give me this money and say, come in and fix our damn millennials, I say to them, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna come, but I end up spending all of the time working with my Gen X managers, okay? They are 36% of the workforce and they're growing exponentially. By 2025, they will be 75% of the global workforce. So you need to get on board or you need to jump ship. Because if you don't, you're gonna either sink your ship or they're gonna walk you off the plank. Because they are massive disruptors. That's an academic term. They're changing how everything is done. Why do we have a 5-day work week? Why do we work 40 hours a week? Why are there banker hours? Why do I have to dress professionally? Why? And if because you say, because I said so, or that's the way we've always done it, they're out. They're massive disruptors, and you gotta be worried about that piece out, okay? So let's quickly go through Gen Z. I call them the meh generation, M-E-H-H. They're really not fazed by anything. They grew up during the Great Recession, like, meh, what's the big deal? They only know a world with terrorism in it, like, meh, what's the big deal? Like, blow yourself up, like, clean it up, like, come on, let's keep going. You know, like, same-sex marriage, what's the big deal? Why do people care, right? They've seen a black president. They've now seen a woman vice president. They only know a world with social media. But here's what's significant. This is going to be the first generation where the Caucasian generation becomes the minority population in America. And they are so dialed into security and stability and diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you are not being inclusive and seeing people as individuals, they're going to call you out on it, and they're not afraid to do it, okay? Their communication preference, virtual, because they keep reinventing it. They're not texting. What are they doing? It's all videos, yeah. And they yearn for face-to-face attention. Any guesses as to why they yearn for face-to-face attention? Because their Gen X parents are such workaholics, they've neglected them of that face-to-face attention. So you go home and you all think about that tonight, okay? We don't know what their decision-making method is because their Gen X parents are like, I'm the parent, you're the child, you're not making decisions. And we don't know what percentage of the workforce they are because they're just now entering the workforce, which the worst mistake you can make is calling a Gen Z or a millennial, because number one, millennials hate being called millennials. So right now, everybody needs to take that M word out of their vocabulary. It doesn't exist. They hate it, and Gen Z hates it even more. The millennials are 25 to 40-ish, which makes me a little uncomfortable because it's really hard to compare a 28-year-old and a 38-year-old, okay? Here, 24 to 12 are your Gen Zs, and they're very different than millennials. All right, let's move on. What you have to be worried about is they are clashing with Gen Y, the millennials, pretty dramatically because they show up to work on time, they shake hands, they make eye contact, they're dressed professionally. They have a formal signature on their email. Like they email me, Dr. Furman, I apologize for not coming to class next week. I apologize for the inconvenience. And I'm like, you're not inconveniencing me, but okay. But I've already met with my classmates. I'm gonna make up what I missed, sincerely, signature. These are my millennials, texted me in the middle of the night. Yo, Mel. When's our next exam? And I'm like, yesterday. Oh, can I make it up? No. Can I get extra credit? No. Next thing I know, mom and dad's calling me. Johnny missed his exam. No, I know. Can he make it up? No. Can he get extra credit? No. Well, I'm calling the dean. I am the dean. Like, no. So very, very different. Okay, so let's keep moving. What we're worried about with this generation is that they are forced to behave like adults as children. We, Gen Z, we have them doing budgeting in middle school. We have them picking careers in middle school. Picking a career is a very adult decision. So we are expecting them to behave like adults as children, not healthy, by the way. And we're curious that when they actually get out into the workforce, can they really do this thing called adulting? I don't have time to give examples and go into it, but if you want to know more, you can reach out to me and I can give you some more information about that. Okay, so many of your Gen Xers are experiencing burnout and they are very comfortable with doing things their way. So if, my young folks, you show up and you get this in your face, don't just turn around and quit and peace out. Be patient, build a relationship with them, because they can answer your why. They just don't have time. I don't have time to explain to them why we do what we do. So find when they have more time and they can explain it to you. Okay? Do you all know what this is? That's a high-end typewriter. Boomers may be feeling a little obsolete, and they're not going anywhere. So reinvent them. Give them opportunities to reinvent and recharge them. And they are awesome mentors for your millennials. They gave birth to them, okay? And so don't just write them off and wait, count the days till they retire. Use them. They have so much expertise to provide you. Don't think that the millennials are trophy kids. I hate when I hear that, because here's what I'm going to say to you. Who is giving them the trophies? Were they giving themselves the trophies? No, their parents were. And here at the end of the day, everybody wants a trophy. Everybody wants to be rewarded across all generations. Everybody wants feedback. And so how many of you have performance reviews? How often are they? Quarterly? Yes.
They're not performance, they're coaching.
You're awesome. He's on it. Y'all need to listen to him. So most people have an annual performance review. That is so dated and obsolete and not engaging your young professionals. Right now, they put something on social media and they instantly get 1,000 pieces of feedback. But yet when they show up in your workplaces, they only get it once a year, and most of the time you rush through it. Where here, this gentleman said they have quarterly coaching reviews, and that is great, because you're not necessarily reviewing their performance, you're having a conversation with them and helping them grow and develop. But here's what I'm gonna tell you, my young folks. If you're not getting the feedback that you need and want, ask for it, okay? Go to the next one. The younger generations want to make a difference, so think about your impact and bring that impact into focus. Every single one of your organizations, you should be able to drill down to your impact. The youngest generation of Gen Z cares a whole lot about your corporate values or your social responsibility. So if you cannot clearly articulate and demonstrate that you're living the values of your organization, they may not want to come work for you, okay? The younger generations like everything personalized, so my millennials, hold up your phones. I know you have them out within arm's reach. Everybody kind of look around at the phones at your table. Okay, Gen X, hold up your phone and or phones. All right, so what you may notice is the younger folks, all of their phone cases are personalized. Like it's sparkles, it's football, it's something personalized. And then you see Gen X and it's like black, white, whatever came free with the case. And if it's something fancy, it's because your kids or grandkids bought it for you and you felt bad, so you put it on, right? So to this point, the gentleman made up front is the one-size-fits-all consistency that HR loves to preach to y'all. That's obsolete, sorry, HR. It's dated. You now have to think about all of your employees as individuals and get to know them individually, and you need to coach them. And you're not going to coach your quarterback the same way you're going to coach your offensive lineman. Okay? Answer their why, and if it's because I said so or that's the way we've always done it, you need to rethink. The young people expect and demand innovation. So if your organizations are not demonstrating, eating, living, breathing innovation, they're out. Okay, so I'm going to close here, and y'all, here's what's super cool. I can do this in 3 minutes or less because it's not rocket science. It's really very, very simple, which I already said. The first thing you need to do is you need to care. And Gen X is like, do I really need to care, or can I just pretend like I care? You not only need to care, you need to communicate that you care. And that's where some of you may not be great at communicating that. People want to know that you care about them. And you have to stop thinking of them as millennials or boomers or Gen X or compartmentalizing or giving them whatever label you want to give them. You need to start thinking of them as individuals and understand that every single one of them has a different lens in how they see the world. And you don't have to like their lens, you don't have to agree with their lens, but you have to respect their lens, okay? Because everybody comes from a different upbringing, different background. And so the more that you can learn about yourself and you can learn about others, so if any of you have access to assessments that you can take, and we talked about this in the women's program this morning, you need to learn about who you are, your biases, your blind spots, your strengths, your preferences, your communication styles. And then once you know that, you need to learn that about all of your people. And then you need to adjust and meet somewhere in the middle. Because you don't ever want to assume anything. Because if you assume that someone's older, they don't know how to use technology, or the young people are like IT support, you don't want to do that. You're compartmentalizing. And so to get to know your people, you have to be approachable and available. And again, this is where my older folks are struggling with this. You're so stressed, you're so overworked, you're doing a job of 3 people, you're balancing all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, we need to schedule care time on your calendar. And they're like, really? I said, no, you do. And it has to be daily, self-care and the care of others, and you have to be approachable and available so these young people can learn from you. And focus on the similarities. Think about that exercise we did. Go back to your offices. Music is a great thing to bring people together. So maybe on Fridays, wear your favorite concert t-shirt day, right? Mine's going to be the Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Faith No More concert. My U2 concert, Backstreet Boys? Yeah, sweet. So focus on the similarities, not the differences. Okay, who is this? Okay, you make me feel so much better because my college students are like, Karate Kid? That's the movie with like Will Smith's son. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so real quick, 80s references, name the movie. This is our time. This is our time down here. Don't feed him after midnight. Ludicrous Speed. Spaceballs. Yes. Something about, I'll just say Goose. Yeah, okay. I feel like I need to teach a class of nothing but all of the fun 80s movies that my college students have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, this right here is you need to be someone's Mr. Miyagi. Okay? If you take the experience and the work ethic and the resiliency of the older generations and you take them with the ambition and the innovation and the creativity of the younger generation and you put them together, your organizations are freaking amazing. But you have to be Mr. Miyagi, right? Because Daniel's son was like super annoying, right? Like he was like always in his face and he was breaking his bonsai and he was like doing all this stuff. And what did Mr. Miyagi do? He was emotionally mature and he was calm, wax on, wax off, and he helped him be better. Somebody mentored you at some point, so now it's your job to lean in and mentor them. So rather than do this, lean in instead. Okay, so in closing, my last slide here is this whole 45-minute thing you sat through today was a diversity training, because that's what this is. Recognizing and understanding that everybody has something to bring to the table and they all have a different lens, and to stop compartmentalizing. Help them grow professionally and emotionally so they get to that maturity level that you need them to be to bring your organization into the future and to be successful into the future. So that's all I got. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions, Terry does have a handout. We didn't tell you that on the front end. That she's going to email to all of you that has everything that was in my slides, so don't worry if you missed something. And if you have any questions, anything you want, reach out to me. And if you want, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I curate a lot of articles about this topic and my other topics. You know that they come from reliable resources, and I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. So thank you for having me. I'm 1 minute over. Not bad.
Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.